This girl transmigrated into a book and became a cursed cat, unexpectedly falling into the hands of a stubborn tyrant, becoming his warming companion every night only for the kitten to suddenly transform back into a human while asleep. The man looked at her with a dazed expression. "Where's my little kitten?" She thought this time, if she transmigrated into the story, it would either be the heroine or the villainess. But the moment she opened her eyes, she was scooped up by a man from the ancient book. Only after making a meow sound did she realize she had turned into a cat. She did not transmigrate into a person, yet this man was staring right at her. With black hair and red eyes, a symbol of royalty. The kitten was certain he was the empire's crown prince, also known as the tyrant ruler from the novel. The man curiously examined the strange creature in front of him. The animal looked somewhat noble. The kitten nervously woke up in the man's hands. Would he kill me? In the 21st century, cats are beloved pets. But in this novel's world, cats are cursed and seen as bad omens. They are considered creatures that bring destruction to the empire. That is the divine prophecy Emperor Lion, the great emperor of the empire, received. Because of that, he ordered the complete extermination of all cats in the realm. Since then, several decades have passed, and not a single cat hair remains in the empire. Children are taught from a young age that cats are fierce and vicious beasts. They are linked to the divine prophecy of the empire's doom. This cat cannot be allowed to survive. Kitten felt deeply wronged. This was the empire's mistake about cats. The emperor has nothing to do with her. Your Highness, I am actually a human. She struggled to say meow for a long time. Unfortunately, the prince could not understand cat language. This beast is a cat. Cats have already been wiped out in the empire. The girl was surprised the prince recognized she was a cat so quickly. Let us make a deal. I can predict what will happen in the future. The man only glanced briefly at the meowing cat. Then, in a flash, he tucked the kitten into his coat pocket and quietly returned to his room. He carefully observed the strange creature he had just brought home. He seemed genuinely interested in this soft, adorable cat. It was nothing like the descriptions in the book. No long, sharp fangs. Its claws were not dangerous either. Maybe because it is still a kitten, or it is hiding its vicious nature, pretending to be harmless to charm its opponent. The crown prince regarded the little cat as a cunning beast. The poor kitten cried out meow sadly twice. This little creature was truly adorable. For a moment, it was just the two of them, face to face. Tentatively, the kitten obeyed and took a step forward. It rolled onto the table, exposing its soft little belly. The kitten hesitated before biting my hand. Is this guy seriously sane? If I bite him, he could use that as an excuse to harm me. In the end, the kitten stopped and gently nuzzled the crown prince's pinky finger. The warm, soft feeling made the crown prince feel strangely unsettled. After that little investigation, he guessed the kitten could understand human speech. Looking at the abundant food on the table, the crown prince pondered what kind of food the little creature could eat. The kitten silently guessed, so this is his menu. But at least he could be sure. For now, the prince had no intention of harming her. Otherwise, he would not have prepared food for her. After careful observation, the kitten guessed the prince was about 18 or 19 years old. The novel mentioned that shortly after coming of age, he would ascend the throne as emperor. The prince carefully poured a plate of milk for the kitten. At that moment, she suddenly remembered that kittens get stomachaches from drinking human milk. But she was so hungry that she quickly pushed that thought aside. Whatever, I will eat first and worry later. The fragrant cow's milk was irresistible to the little kitten. She clung to the ground and drank wildly, ignoring all dignity. After the kitten finished eating, the young prince carefully helped clean its mouth. He looked puzzled, not knowing how such a tiny creature could be dangerous. The kitten did not know either. Suddenly, a voice called from outside, interrupting the crown prince. Someone was about to enter the room. In a rush, the crown prince quickly stuffed the kitten into his pocket. The rough move made the kitten hit its head. She stretched out her tiny paw, anxiously watching what was happening outside. A girl stepped in, smiling brightly as she spoke. You said you have not had much appetite lately, but you finished all the food I made yesterday. So today I came personally to express my gratitude. This familiar line came from Lady Bothwalk, C.A. There, who secretly poisoned Lion's food. She was also the emperor's only mistress, outwardly innocent and harmless. But inside, she was a venomous snake filled with malice. She used poisonous magical drugs to slowly poison the emperor, bit by bit, through Lion's meals. She planned to control him once he became emperor by using magic. Looks like I have to eat the food to keep her quiet. C.A. There insisted the crown prince eat the food she prepared before she would leave satisfied. Because this was the emperor's order. Lion frowned, annoyed by the woman's endless chatter. After a long compromise, the kitten inside the pocket grew restless to the point of panic. She could not bear to watch the cruel woman's food being eaten. With no other choice, she decided to unleash her ultimate desperate move. She extended her tiny claws and scratched fiercely. It was obvious how irritated the crown prince was. He quickly reached in to restrain the struggling kitten. But do not think this will make the kitten give up. The kitten kept swiping her claws, the pain darkening the prince's expression. 3 scratch marks appeared on his hand. He used the excuse of not wanting to eat to dismiss Lady Bothwalk. Then he glared darkly at the naughty kitten. "Hey, do you see the scratches on my hand?" The kitten panicked. To save her own life, she hurriedly explained, "It is not my fault, I only did it to save you." A series of meows echoed. The kitten guessed the prince could not understand her cat language at all. Seeing his face getting darker by the second, she quickly realized her fate as a cat was about to end. She regretted stopping him from eating earlier, but as a righteous little cat, even if she was scared of him, she could not just stand by and do nothing. No matter what, she had to stop that from happening. Unexpectedly, he just reached out and gently stroked the kitten's fur. "It is because I suddenly put you in my pocket. That scared you. Now I will take you out. Don't do that again. You looked so fierce just now, like you wanted to eat me." She did not expect him to forgive her so easily. Seeing him hold his hand up, wanting to eat again, the kitten hurriedly scrambled for an idea. "Wait a minute. Got it." She focused on the target, the plate of ribs in front of her. Ignoring everything, she grabbed the crown prince's sleeve. "Meow, meow, meow." Then she pointed at the delicious ribs, meowing insistently, trying to hint at the food, but it was like they were speaking different languages. The crown prince had no idea what the crazy little cat was trying to say. Cornered, the kitten resorted to body language. She pretended to put food into her mouth with her paws. Then she dramatically collapsed, pretending to be dead and breathless. The crown prince cautiously asked, "This stuff is not edible." "That is exactly the point. Right now, I am a bit confused. You pointed out all the foods that can't be eaten. Almost more than half of the foods on the list are marked as forbidden. According to the kitten's guidance just now, the crown prince knows eating these foods will poison him. He can't help but suspect this kitten has some kind of innate skill. Of course, the crown prince does not know this kitten is no ordinary cat, but a human trapped in a cat's body. Realizing the crown prince has no intention of harming him, the kitten decides to try hard to win his favor. No one can resist a soft, adorable white kitten. Looking at the kitten's cute expression, the crown prince also looks a bit dumbstruck. Then he bursts out laughing. The kitten is shocked. He actually laughed. Just at that moment, the emperor orders the crown prince to the study. The smile on the crown prince's lips disappears as if it was never there. Kyo-Luen arranges for the kitten to stay in the guest room, then quickly goes to meet the emperor. Before leaving, he tells the kitten to behave and wait for him here, not to wander around. Late at night, the crown prince returns exhausted. He has even more wounds on his body. After bathing, the crown prince finds the kitten still awake waiting for him. His heart feels an unusual warmth. The kitten obediently rubs against the crown prince's hand, acting sweetly. Because of his tired body, the crown prince goes to bed to rest. He tells the kitten to be careful not to fall off the bed. At that moment, the kitten smells blood on Kyo-Luen. She recalls that in the original story, he was often punished by the emperor as a child. Now the kitten understands why the emperor tolerates him. She always thought the male lead in this book acted cold just to seem cool. Seeing what Kyo-Luen has gone through, the kitten feels extremely upset. The quiet atmosphere and the smell of blood make one uneasy. The kitten does not know what to do for this man. That night, the crown prince wakes up half asleep. He thought he was dreaming again. When he focuses and looks closely, he finds a strange girl lying beside him, and she is even lying in his arms. This real sensation shocks the crown prince, and he sits up abruptly. The kitten that had been sleeping soundly in his arms is gone. Instead, there is a stranger with silvery blonde hair. This is the first time this man has seen a cat. It is completely different from the fierce description in the book. On the contrary, it is very cute and soft. The correct way, by the rules, is to destroy it immediately. But something deep inside stirs. The crown prince is curious why a species that was wiped out 100 years ago has appeared in the imperial palace. This little creature is not only cute and obedient, but also smart and understands human speech. Fragile to the point it can't protect itself, yet courageous enough to stand up and save him from poison. It is also the only thing waiting for him to come back, staying by his side until he falls into a deep sleep, and healing the cold, wounded heart of the crown prince. Even if it is just a pet, it belongs only to him. He won't allow this girl to touch his things. Hurry up and wake up. The other side is still sound asleep, unaware of the crown prince's anger. This makes the crown prince furious. He reaches out to shake the girl. Finally, she groggily opens her eyes. Suddenly, a blinding light appears. The girl transforms into a kitten. The crown prince is stunned. Even magic tricks are not this amazing. The kitten yawns widely, giving the crown prince a teasing look for ruining the kitten's beautiful dream at midnight. Unexpectedly, the moment she stops, she meets the fierce gaze of the crown prince. The kitten silently guessed. Every night, while I am sound asleep, do you accidentally kick me or touch my wound? Only to hear the prince ask coldly, what exactly are you? The kitten looked up at him with round eyes. Doesn't she look 100% like a cat on the outside? And yet you ask such a silly question. The prince leaned in close and asked, are you really a cat? Truly a cat? The prince asked twice, clearly unsure. The kitten meowed, meow meow. That is right, I am really a cat. Is this the first time you have seen a cat? It must be the first time indeed. The kitten suspected it was the lingering effects of demon magic in his body. That is why the prince's mind is all scrambled and he is talking nonsense. The prince blinked and said, if you tell the truth quickly, I will spare your life. The kitten confidently lifted her paw. Come on, let me make you fall for me. The kitten struck a few poses to show off the charm of a cat. Isn't it adorable? Let us just move past this quickly. Unexpectedly, his reaction was extremely cold. The kitten's dignity was deeply insulted. If adorable is not enough to get through to you, then your highness, snap out of it. The kitten licked the prince's hand gently. The tingling sensation spread from his fingers through his body. This method really works. Finally, the prince gave up asking. The kitten could finally sleep peacefully. Just as she lay down, the crown prince covered her with his foot. Although the kitten did not understand why he did it, it felt very warm, and she got sleepy again. Very quickly, the kitten fell fast asleep in the warm spot. But the crown prince was not able to rest so easily, because the platinum-haired girl had appeared again. According to the crown prince's knowledge, cats are dangerous creatures that could bring ruin to the empire, so they must be eliminated by any means necessary. The prince did not know where that cat came from, but even with it here, the empire remained peaceful as usual. This was completely contrary to everything the prince had been taught, and the idea of a cat turning into a human was not mentioned in any records. The prince felt this was no simple matter. Someone was definitely trying to hide the truth. Someday he would become emperor of the empire, and he would uncover this secret. He reached out and gently smoothed the girl's soft, messy hair. No one else can find out about this cat's existence, nor can anyone else know this secret is mine alone. The most important thing right now is to find her some clothes to wear. The next morning, the kitten slowly opened her eyes. Since becoming a cat, she had grown increasingly sleepy. She looked around the room, but did not see Kioli anywhere. Just as the kitten was about to crawl out from under the blanket, something pulled her back. Looking down, she saw a rope tightly tied around her hind leg, and the culprit was this handsome man. Don't even think about running away. Have your breakfast first. Saying that, he brought the warmed milk to the kitten's face. Why do you sound like a bossy CEO the moment you open your mouth? The kitten muttered in frustration. She carefully sniffed the scent on the prince's body. There was still a strong scent of blood. The prince was puzzled, not knowing what the cat was searching for. Next, the kitten went wild, almost lunging at him. She even tried to undo his belt with her mouth. His nightgown immediately slipped off. The prince was confused, trying to stop the lusty cat who was about to tear open his chest. The lustful kitten meowed eagerly, meow meow. When the main male lead's abdomen is covered in wounds during the fight scene, the little cat is completely stunned. He is obviously the strongest fighter and swordsman in the empire, yet he has been beaten to the point of being covered in wounds. Does he really sleep so deeply that he can't fight back and just takes the beating? No matter what, he is still the main male lead of this novel. So why is he living such a miserable life? The little cat feels heartbroken, almost to death. She angrily swipes her claws. Meow, meow, meow. The crown prince gently turns his head to comfort the angry little cat. It turns out the little cat is upset because of the wounds on his body. Feeling cared for by the little cat, the prince can't help but chuckle. Every move the little cat makes is not much different from a human, but it seems she already thinks of herself as a cat. The little cat is enchanting him, or maybe it is something even she does not realize herself. Let us go out together. There are some things we need to buy. This is the first time the little cat has ridden a horse. Her bright cat eyes light up as she looks out the window, admiring the world in the novel. But before she can take in the view, someone grabs her by the collar. Like a parent warning a child not to look out the window or risk falling, they quickly arrive at their destination. This is a famous clothing shop. The little cat wonders, if the prince wants clothes, why did he have to bring the little cat along? Just as they step inside, the prince immediately heads to a delicately displayed mask. The shop owner explains that this mask is for the royal palace's upcoming ball. The little cat does some quick math. It seems Kullian will meet the female lead on that day. The novel describes this moment in great detail. After calling the shop owner outside, the prince speaks up. The little cat, you can come out now. Hearing this, the little cat pokes her head out. The little cat's eyes are met with countless high-end dresses. The prince does not understand girls' tastes, so he tells the little cat to pick out whatever she wants. Hearing that, the little cat is stunned with her mouth wide open. Why is the crown prince buying women's clothes? The prince notices the little cat's suspicion, so he explains that he is buying a gift. There is only one woman beside the prince. Does he want to give a gift to the villainess who poisoned him? Although Catherine is a beauty who can enchant anyone at first sight, and she is only 3 years older than the arrogant Kioli, but are not they like fire and water in the royal family? Could it be because she cooks for the prince every day that she has won his heart? This fool does not even realize the woman is poisoning him through her cooking, while the little cat is lost in her thoughts. The crown prince has already picked out a lot of things. The little cat is confused and wants to stop the foolish prince. The prince seriously speaks. Don't want to buy them, but I really need these things. Little cat is angry. Why won't you listen to my advice? Seeing the little cat puff up her fur, the prince understands. You think I am jealous because I am not the one receiving the gift, right? The prince has caught on to this little feeling. The little cat shyly and arrogantly lets out a humph. The prince laughs at this. At this moment, he is certain about this cat. She does not realize she turns human after she sleeps. Right now, he is the only one who knows this secret. This will definitely be interesting. After finishing their shopping, they get back in the carriage to return to the palace. The little cat notices that since leaving the clothing shop, the prince has been quietly covering himself up. His expression looks like he is hiding some huge secret. A bad feeling rises in the little cat's heart. The little cat immediately becomes alert. But when she heard the crown prince, her cat suddenly stopped eating. Alert, she was immediately tossed behind. She opened her mouth and bit off big chunks. At that moment, the kitten felt a burning gaze. When she raised her head, she saw the crown prince staring intently at her. The kitten was flustered. If you want some, just say so. I am not some little kitten after all. The kitten generously pushed the half-eaten piece of cake toward the crown prince. The crown prince affectionately turned the kitten's head. Eat a bit more. The mischievous kitten felt soothed by the gentle touch. Suddenly, the kitten panicked. Wait a minute. If this keeps up, she will really turn into a cat. At that moment, the kitten suddenly realized this was not the way back to the palace. The crown prince told her he had to go somewhere to confirm something. He promised that no matter what happened, he would not let the kitten get hurt. The kitten immediately became highly alert. Sure enough, Keoline seemed to be up to something. The crown prince gently stroked the kitten's head. Soon, the kitten relaxed and forgot to stay on guard. Even though she reminded herself, she still could not help but drift into a peaceful dream. In that moment, a girl appeared in the crown prince's heart, fast asleep. Every time the kitten slept in the tyrant's arms, she transformed into a white-haired girl. The kitten herself had no idea about this. Luckily, the crown prince was prepared, having a carpet ready on the carriage. Otherwise, carrying her around like this would not be very polite. In this empire, magic is viewed by the public as a symbol of oppression. That is why all magicians are under strict surveillance. To investigate the strange phenomena on this kitten, this girl. The crown prince decided to ignore everything else and seek out a magician himself. The kitten woke up to find herself tucked inside his coat pocket. Although she did not know where the crown prince was taking her, it seemed they had arrived. An elderly man with silver hair respectfully bowed to Keoline. I never thought I would have the honor of meeting your highness. It is the privilege I have waited my whole life for. These magicians were exiled to the region known as Insta-Sazoi. This signified they had been cast out by the royal family. The sudden visit by the crown prince shocked them deeply. The expressions on their faces showed a mix of resentment and anger. The elder quickly warned his son not to be disrespectful. Then he turned toward Keoline to apologize. Keoline understood the complex feelings the magicians had toward the royal family, but there was an important matter he needed to address with them. After speaking, he pulled a kitten out from inside his coat. Such a cute little kitten, yet it frightened everyone present. They had not expected what the crown prince would bring. It was a cat, just the mention made people uneasy. Being stared at by so many was unsettling. The kitten felt very embarrassed. The crown prince coldly issued an order. I ask you all to thoroughly investigate the strange energy on this kitten. Only then did the kitten remember the original story. The man with white hair was the rebellious magician in the latter half of the tale. If the hero and villain meet now, the story would definitely change. This meant she could no longer accurately predict what would happen next. Everyone believed cats were unlucky creatures. They must be destroyed to avoid misfortune. Suddenly, a sword swung toward the kitten. The kitten thought her life was in danger. Luckily, Keoline shielded her just in time. The crown prince stared coldly at the attacker. Gave you permission to touch my kitten? Everyone was shocked. No one expected the crown prince to protect an animal considered unlucky. Anyone who dares to touch my things must be punished. But the silver-haired mage hurriedly intervened. According to the deity's words, cats are the creatures responsible for the empire's downfall. How could the Star Prince possibly protect this filthy creature? Keoline stubbornly refused to listen to their objections. Let us see whether your quick demon magic circle or my blazing inferno is faster. Do you want to give it a try? At that moment, Keoline's sword was engulfed in flames. His entire presence radiated an overwhelming aura. Everyone recognized the prince was using the deity's light magic. Everyone present was stunned. Even the kitten was shocked, its mouth agape. No one expected Keoline to wield such powerful magic. Only when swordsmanship reaches its peak can it possess this kind of power. Both the deity's light magic and demonic magic are considered forbidden powers. Because they are banned, so they are rarely seen on the battlefield. Moreover, using the deity's light magic makes it easy for opposing royal mages to discover weaknesses. But Keoline seemed completely unfazed. He coldly asked the mage if he had received orders. The silver-haired mage, with a thick voice, replied, "Yes, your highness, orders received," requesting to recall the deity's light magic. After using demonic magic to examine the kitten, the mage was utterly shocked. The aura radiating from this kitten astonished everyone. No one expected it to be the deity's protective blessing. The deity was protecting this kitten. Clearly, the deity said cats symbolize evil. But what is inside this kitten is not corruption. It is the deity's protective embrace. The mage guessed the kitten's parents were still alive. This meant the kitten did not just fall from the sky. At this point, the elder turned back and told his son to check the kitten's memories. But the young man resisted, stating his magic was not meant to be used on animals. The elder, displeased, reminded him, "Didn't I tell you that all beings have souls?" Ultimately, for the prince's dignity, the purple-haired young man reluctantly complied. He even asked if he could hold the kitten's front paws. "Your Highness." The prince hesitated but agreed, only allowing him to grasp the toes. So the purple-haired young man carefully held the kitten's toes, then used magic to scan its memories. The curious kitten watched the young man, who had his eyes tightly shut. After a while, the young man was shocked to find he could not access any memories. The only human in the kitten's memories was the crown prince himself, meaning the kitten had lost all previous memories. Hearing this, the prince smiled faintly. In the kitten's memories, he was alone. Then the prince ordered them to search for any records linking the deity's curse and prophecy. At this moment, the purple-haired young man suddenly understood. "Your Highness did not come just to confirm the curse on this kitten's body." The prince did not hide it either. "That is right. I came as the crown prince to form an alliance with you all." Saying this, he pulled out a treaty. The elder and his son stared at the document in disbelief. It bore the son's seal, symbolizing the royal family's prestige. Their family had not allied with the royal court for centuries. The prince needed their support. He offered to rebuild the magic academy in exchange. They had to know fear of magic opposing royal authority had led to the destruction of anyone who tried to establish a magic academy from the start. So cooperating with the prince was the quickest way to restore it. The mage worried this treaty might put the prince in danger. But the prince told him not to worry. Supporting justice is not easy, but he was prepared and he had the real truth within the kitten. "So, what secret is the deity criticizing?" The elders exchanged glances and smiled. They had made up their minds to cooperate with the crown prince, willingly accepting him as their master. At that moment, every word on the memory pact shone brightly. Their memory pact was complete. The crown prince then gave his first order. The elders thought it was some great mission, but to their surprise, the crown prince pulled out many garments. He wanted them to use magic to make these clothes adjustable to fit whoever wore them. The mages did not understand why the crown prince insisted on this. The crown prince just said coldly, "If you are told to do it, then just do it. Why waste time with so many words?" The mages were left speechless. Quickly, they began enchanting the pile of clothes. After returning to the palace, the crown prince eagerly took out a pink dress for the kitten to wear. The kitten was utterly confused. Why did the crown prince want the kitten to wear human clothes to sleep? The kitten did not know that every time it fell asleep deeply, it would transform into a human, and it would be completely naked. To avoid awkward situations, the crown prince gave the kitten a delicate pink dress to wear. The kitten shook its head wildly, signaling refusal. "I like sleeping without clothes," it seemed to say. It was truly pitiful if even this little pleasure was taken away. The kitten was determined to fiercely protect its right to sleep naked. The crown prince coaxed it for half a day with no success. Seeing the kitten dislike the clothes so much, the crown prince smiled wickedly. "Don't regret this later," he warned. The innocent kitten did not grasp the sinister tone in his words. That night, a large hand gently pulled the blanket over the girl. He smiled as he looked at the girl sleeping soundly beside him. "I told you to wear clothes to sleep, but you still would not listen." Since the age of 19, Lion had been forced to take many magical potions. According to the original story, during this time, he had to endure excruciating pain. He was dazed most of the day. So why does he look so healthy now? Is the protagonist's healing ability really that strong? This fierce, tiger-like demeanor does not look like someone pretending to endure pain. While the kitten was lost in thought, a white hawk slowly descended from the sky. The kitten was still bewildered. Then it heard Lion command the hawk to fly over. It turned out the crown prince was familiar with this hawk. The crown prince raised a hand to welcome the hawk as it landed. Then he used his fingerprint to retrieve a secret letter tied to the hawk's leg. Relaxing against the railing, the crown prince read the letter. The hawk obediently stood by his side. After finishing the letter, the crown prince gently sent the hawk on its way. He told it to drink some water before continuing its journey. It was the first time the kitten had seen a hawk so obedient. Unexpectedly, at that moment, the hawk stared fiercely at her. The kitten was terrified. It dared not move. Luckily, the hawk soon spread its wings and flew away. Afterwards, Lion had to meet with the emperor. He told the kitten to wait obediently in the room. It turned out the letter had come from Lion's mother. She was not upset about anything. Lady Hui gave up meeting her son to go rest in Tennessee. This made the crown prince very worried. The kitten waited until late at night. Finally, it waited for Lion to return, but she noticed his condition was not good. The kitten was deeply worried. She guessed something had happened during the afternoon tea. It was also possible that someone had poisoned the tea. The side effects of the magical medicine were intense pain and nausea. Kitten recalls the original story. lion started showing symptoms of poisoning at 59 years old. It was at this very time. Ultimately, the pain was unbearable. The poison attacked and destroyed his intestines. Kitten was deeply worried about his health. The crown prince staggered into the room. His eyes were bloodshot and unfocused, completely unlike his usual lively self. He was not fully conscious and collapsed onto the sofa. His expression was filled with intense pain. Kitten felt heartbroken for the crown prince, who was not valued by the royal family, always facing the torment of the poison alone. Kitten knew the crown prince was a kind-hearted person, the only human who truly protected her, so Kitten could not just stand by and watch. She gathered all her strength and bit down on her little dress. Then she struggled to throw it into the water. Afterwards, she painfully dragged herself back to the sofa, using every bit of energy to climb up beside the crown prince. She placed it gently on his forehead. First, she had to help him cool down with the dress. Kitten repeated this action over and over, 99, then 81 times, only stopping when she was completely exhausted. Watching the crown prince lie there, tired on the sofa, Kitten silently hoped he would recover by morning. Running back and forth, Kitten had soaked her own fur completely, so she had no choice but to put on clothes and sleep on the floor for the night. Just thinking about how the crown prince would laugh seeing her in a dress tomorrow, Kitten felt incredibly embarrassed. The next morning, the crown prince slowly woke up. He noticed something warm and wet on his forehead. It was the dress he had given Kitten. The crown prince immediately pieced everything together. He quickly sat up to look for Kitten. The crown prince glanced around and saw the platinum-haired girl sleeping soundly on the floor. Luckily this time, Kitten had agreed to wear clothes. Realizing she had taken care of him all night and must be exhausted, the crown prince could not help but smile. In this harsh, hellish place, she was the only one who truly cared about him. Worried she might catch a cold sleeping on the floor, the crown prince gently pulled her into his arms. He teased, "If it is cold, you can serve me instead. In exchange, I will take care of you." He carefully lifted the sleeping girl onto the bed. When she adjusted her hair under the pillow, seeing her peacefully asleep and obedient, the crown prince planned to give her a special surprise. He gave Kitten a name, Lynette, meaning little queen, at least within this room. "You are my princess who can command me anytime." The crown prince affectionately nuzzled Kitten's rosy pink nose, but it did not wake her up. He gently asked Kitten, "Are you sleeping well, Lynette?" Kitten was confused, not sure who he was calling. The crown prince explained it was the name he had given her. Only then did she remember, since becoming a cat in this world, she had no name. Unexpectedly, there was more to come. Kitten excitedly stretched out her paws and nose, wanting to check the crown prince's condition. The crown prince gratefully thanked Kitten for caring for him all night. He assured her he was feeling better now. Kitten's little paw reached out, touching the crown prince's forehead to test his temperature. She found that his fever had finally broken. Kitten breathed a sigh of relief. Thank her. The kind-hearted crown prince told Kitten something very important. Lynette, when you sleep, you turn back into a human and you do not wear any clothes. Kitten already knew that whenever she slept, she transformed into a white-haired girl. And she did not wear pajamas, sharing the bed with the crown prince. Kitten was so shocked she nearly fainted on the spot. It turns out when she sleeps, she enters a lucid state to meet him. What is more, the crown prince deliberately did not tell her. The little kitten's heart was shattered. Her little soul was deeply hurt. She lost the courage to face him. For days after, the little kitten decided to completely ignore the wicked crown prince. But every time she heard him call her name, the little kitten would lightly respond with a soft meow. Later, "Are you planning to turn your back on me?" The little kitten firmly thought. Of course she was. No matter how the prince gave a hollow smile, the little kitten stubbornly kept her cold attitude. "Someone else is leading me away right now. I am not going to forgive you that easily." Seeing the little kitten ignoring him, the crown prince sighed deeply. "Listen to me explain why I did not tell you before." As he spoke, he reached out toward the little kitten. But the little kitten, extremely wary, scratched him fiercely. After scratching him, the little kitten felt a bit bewildered. The person she just scratched is the future tyrant. At this point, the crown prince stopped trying to coax the little kitten. He said he had to go handle some business first. He told the little kitten to stay calm alone. The little kitten thought, so the prince is really angry now. The prince looked at the 3 scratches on his hand. Not only was he not angry, he even laughed. Clearly so cautious, yet she only left 3 harmless, itch-free claw marks. The prince smiled and turned around, leaving the little kitten obediently waiting for his return. Alone in her room, the little kitten felt extremely bored. She also thought she might have been a bit too harsh earlier. She decided to wait for Kiolien to come back. She definitely had to apologize to him. At that moment, the little kitten suddenly heard a noise outside. She lifted her hand cautiously to listen. She saw the door to the room open. The little kitten was startled out of her wits. On high alert, she stared intently at the doorway. She did not know who dared to barge into the crown prince's room. It was Gisela. She had come with people to inspect. Luckily, it was a critical moment, hanging by a thread. The little kitten quickly hid under the bed. From what they said, the little kitten learned that Gisela had heard the crown prince went to the tailor's shop to get clothes for a woman, so she came herself to pressure the shop owner. Gisela guessed the crown prince's companion was a low-status girl. Otherwise, why would the prince arrange to meet her outside the city instead of bringing her back to the palace? If she was not a noble, then Gisela would not feel the need to hold back. So Gisela stubbornly led her people to the crown prince's private room to uncover the truth about that girl. But she definitely never expected that the girl the crown prince was secretly seeing was actually a cat. So no matter how thoroughly they searched every corner, they could not find any clues. But there was plenty of cat fur everywhere. Furious, Gisela scolded the maids, calling them useless. Did you just grow eyes to eat your meals? Just then, at that moment, a white-haired maid suddenly entered. Seeing Gisela in the room, the maid quickly apologized. I thought no one was here. Gisela questioned the maid about why she entered the crown prince's room. The maid nervously explained. The crown prince had instructed that the room could be cleaned when the door was open. Gisela thought the maid was lying. She darkened, ready to order punishment. At that moment, one of Gisela's henchmen hurried forward with a report. The crown prince is returning to the room. Hearing this, Gisela had no choice but to lead her people away. Before leaving, she warned the maid sternly. I have memorized your face. Hidden under the bed, the little kitten finally relaxed and let out a sigh of relief. She was waiting for that maid to leave before stepping outside. Unexpectedly, the other person came right to where the little cat was hiding. The little cat was so tense she barely dared to breathe. Suddenly, a face appeared right in front of her. The person had purple eyes and white hair. It scared the little cat stiff. She was so terrified she froze in place. The person reached out toward the little cat. The little cat quickly covered her mouth to keep from making a sound. The other seemed very certain that the little cat was here. She stretched her hand to grab her. The little cat felt something was off. Clearly, the maid had not seen her before, so how did she know she was hiding here? Seeing that hand almost catch her, a voice suddenly rang out. What are you doing here? At a critical moment, like a lifeline thrown, the crown prince's voice came just in time to stop everything. He asked the maid coldly. The door was locked, so how did you get in? The maid stammered nervously. The door was open. The prince did not press further. He ordered the maid out of the room. Once no one was left, the prince called out anxiously. Lynette heard the familiar call. The little cat nervously came out. Her appearance showed she would been through a lot of hardship. The prince carefully checked her all around. Luckily, the little cat was not hurt at all. The prince also understood everything that happened today was caused by that reckless girl. The little cat noticed the scratch she would left on the prince's arm this morning was still there. She felt deeply guilty. The little cat stuck out her tongue happily and gently licked the wound on the prince's arm, as if by doing that, he would not hurt anymore. At that moment, the ring on Kyo Luan's finger suddenly glowed. It turned out the ring was a tool for him to contact the mage. The prince smiled and asked the little cat, "Aren't you curious about the secret you carry?" The little cat meowed, showing her curiosity. Elsewhere, the mysterious maid looked around the garden. It seemed like she was searching for something. At that moment, the mage spoke up to question her. Why did you come into this place? This space was created by magic. Even the crown prince can't enter without permission. The mage could tell immediately what she was looking for, but the maid quickly denied it. She lied, saying she came by accident. The mage called her out directly. You are looking for the little cat, are not you? She did not expect the mage to see through her so quickly. Just then, the crown prince appeared behind them. The maid was so scared she broke out in a cold sweat. The prince recognized her as the maid who had just been searching his room. Apparently, she had not found the information she was after. Mistaken for a spy, the maid hurriedly explained she was only there to clean. But Kyo Luan obviously did not believe her. He threatened her coldly. Answer me, tell me who is behind you. Seeing her still deny it, the prince's expression darkened. I am not asking, this is an order. The little cat peeked her head out from the shirt pocket to watch what was happening. She was worried that in his anger, Kyo Luan might actually take the maid's life. Sure enough, the prince was already impatiently drawing his sword. The little cat felt something was wrong. She could not just stand by and watch him become a tyrant. Bravely, she jumped out to stop the prince's violent action. Her small body clung tightly to the sword. Everyone was shocked by this sudden move. The little cat held onto the sword's sheath with all her might. She ignored the danger. Isn't it to stop the prince from doing something evil? But the mage was extremely anxious about this. Your Highness, why did you bring the cat here? At that moment, another person at the scene just stared wide-eyed at the kitten. The kitten looked a little frightened by the gaze. After seeing the kitten, the maid's expression turned strangely calm. The kitten was suspicious this person did not seem to be seeing a cat for the first time. Suddenly, the maid lunged forward. Other cats turn into cats when they sleep, but this one turns into a person while sleeping. Just as the kitten thought it might fall into someone else's hands, the maid gently said, "You are safe. You are mine." The kitten was puzzled, where did this new mother come from? So that is how the whole story unfolded. As usual, the maid hid the kitten in the bushes before going off to work. Before leaving, she reminded the kitten, "If any bad people come, hide really well. Stay here quietly and wait for your mother to come back." But when the maid returned, she found the kitten was gone. She searched every corner of the place, but could not find a single hair of the kitten. At that moment, Keolian found the kitten in the flower garden, then took her away. The maid felt lucky the prince had taken her child in. The maid joyfully held her long-lost daughter close. The child was so scared she barely remembered what happened. The kitten felt like she could not breathe because of the tight hug. Tears streaming down, the maid thanked the prince sincerely. "Thank you for saving both of us." It is surprising that the maid herself is also a cat. The prince hurriedly asked, "So, the two of you, are there any other cats still alive?" The maid sadly replied, "No, they are the only cats left in the empire." After the god's decree, the empire carried out a policy to exterminate all cats. Even the demon mage corps were sent to hunt down cats. That is why all cats lost their lives. Since then, cats have become symbols of evil. It is like sacrificing cats to the demons. Hearing this, the kitten felt sorrowful and blamed herself. A wave of deep sadness washed over her. She had seen that scene somewhere before. Could this intense feeling be coming from her original owner? Just as the kitten was in pain, Keolian quickly noticed her unusual condition. "What is wrong with you? Are you feeling sick anywhere?" Even the mother cat was curious about that name. When asked, the maid revealed it was the prince who named the kitten. The prince wondered what the kitten's original name was. The maid hesitated a bit. She had never given the kitten a name before. The maid reached out and gently turned the kitten's head. Finally, she mustered the courage to tell the prince. Right now, the two of them are still under a curse. The kitten listened curiously. The prince ordered the maid to explain everything clearly. Their curse is that they transform into cats. On the night of a blood moon, they suddenly become pregnant. This is how they are falsely accused. Hearing this, the mage was puzzled. A blood moon only appears once every 70 years. The last one was 18 years ago. The maid continued. 10 months later, my child was born. I am now 89 years old. Hearing this, the kitten was so shocked she almost popped her eyes out. She clearly looked so young. Does that mean she does not age? She waits for the blood moon to get pregnant. And after one more year, the child will grow up. That was also when my life came to an end. Although the maid spoke at length, the crown prince still did not understand. What does this have to do with her not naming Lynette? The maid continued. It is because an unexpected incident suddenly occurred. Clearly, when awake, they are in human form. But when asleep, they turn into cats. Yet Lynette's transformation contradicts this rule. Upon learning this news, not only the crown prince, but the kitten was stunned to the point of confusion. She did not understand why she was the only one who turned human while sleeping. The maid originally wanted to name the kitten after resolving this matter, but since the kitten was born, no clues have been found. Even though no clues were found, the maid guessed there must be somewhere to search for some answers. The crown prince asked directly where that place was. The mother cat hesitated. The kitten noticed her unease. She guessed the mother did not want to reveal the secret in front of the prince. She reached out and placed her paw on the mother cat's. "I trust you, Mom." Feeling her daughter's encouragement and trust, the mother cat took the kitten's paw in hers. Finally, she turned to the crown prince and said, "Please take me to the royal library of Huangda. I know they do not allow just anyone to enter freely, but I believe that is the only place we might find clues." The crown prince ordered the mage to use teleportation magic tomorrow to bring the mother cat there. Seeing the prince agree, both mother and kitten were overjoyed. "We have found our daughter." Keolin asked what the mother cat's next plan was. The kitten was still a bit sad. "I found family, so I will have to part with Keolin." Unexpectedly, the mother cat said, "I have something to ask of your highness. Before I can enter the royal library, please help me take care of her. Right now, I am just a lowly maid. It is not appropriate to hide the kitten. Besides, being by the prince's side is safer." The crown prince reached out and took the kitten. "Tonight, let me take care of you." Then the prince declared they would go to the library together tomorrow. Night fell. The kitten stretched and yawned on the chair. She glanced around the familiar room. Today is the last day she will be here. The prince came out of the bath and asked, "You are not asleep, waiting for me?" Truly a handsome man dripping wet, his toned abs still glistening with water. Seeing this, the kitten could not help but exclaim, "Almost impossible to resist such masculine charm." The kitten reminded the prince that his clothes were too revealing. Unexpectedly, the prince pretended not to understand. "The wind is deliberately trying to seduce you." The kitten blushed in irritation as she looked at him. The prince said again, "Let us sleep together tonight." Looking at Q's hopeful face, the kitten seemed to realize something. She froze on the spot, embarrassed. That moment, the prince smiled smugly and said, "Of course, so you can wear a little dress to bed." "Fine then." The kitten thought quietly. So it is one cat and one person quietly lying on the bed. This might be their last night together. She had to cherish it. The kitten tilted her head, admiring the handsome man beside her. At that moment, a voice nearby asked, "Lynette, are you asleep?" The sudden question startled the kitten as she was looking at her master. She quickly closed her eyes, pretending to sleep. But the crown prince quickly saw through her. She did not transform into a human. "So that means you are still awake." Ever since sleeping with the kitten, the prince has not had a nightmare in a long time. Facing the little fake sleeping cat, the prince spoke warmly. "Although it seems a bit late now, but having you by my side feels really good." Those heartfelt words made them both blush. At that moment, the kitten suddenly leaned in close and kissed the prince's nose. The prince's eyes widened in surprise. Both cherished this rare time spent together. Quickly, the boy and the cat slipped into a beautiful dream. A bright light softly cloaked them both. The kitten transformed into a human figure, sleeping peacefully in the prince's arms. She hoped this moment could last forever. That way, they would never have to be apart. The next morning, the prince was dressed neatly, waiting in the flower garden. He wondered why the prince did not bring the clingy little cat along. When called, the kitten hopped out to check in. The cat's here. But the mage wondered why there was no one else here. Was this supposed to be a safe place? Hearing that, the kitten immediately retracted her paws. The prince explained that the kitten was shy and did not want to go outside. The kitten looked confused. She felt like the prince was about to reveal their secret from last night. The kitten frantically swatted at the prince with her tiny paws. "Don't say anything about it," the prince replied with a smirk. "I know. I won't say a word." The prince felt a bit embarrassed for not showing affection openly in front of others. The last to arrive was the maid. Everyone was now present. The crown prince announced they were ready to depart. The mage activated the magical formation for teleportation. "Close your eyes." Everyone arrived at the royal library. The prince reminded everyone to be careful. The guards here are not to be underestimated. But the mage's son said otherwise. He claimed they got inside easily because the guards were careless. The prince was speechless. The prince ordered everyone to search for any information related to cats. As the crown prince opened a book, the kitten jumped out of his sleeve. She looked up and saw countless general books stacked everywhere. The sight was truly impressive. Passing by, the mother cat asked the kitten, "Have you found anything yet?" The kitten obediently replied, "Not yet." At that moment, the mother cat found a strange book. The mage was extremely surprised when he saw it. The mother cat quickly realized there was something unusual about this book, but the prince saw nothing different. The kitten climbed up onto the mother cat's shoulder, curiously looking higher. It seemed like a divine guide. The book said someone had sacrificed their precious life to survive 8 dark nights, and that child of the 9th night was awaited. This was the book the mother cat had been searching for. Its contents matched perfectly with the divine teachings she had heard before. Her mother once said she was the 8th child. If it is as described in the book, the 9th child would be Lynette. The kitten was shocked to hear this. She decided to look deeper into the divine teachings. Maybe she could uncover more information inside. But the moment Lynette touched the book, a dazzling divine light burst forth. It was so bright the kitten could not keep her eyes open. "My child, can you hear my words? Who is this voice speaking so calmly?" Just now, the kitten felt like she was being pulled into the book. Unexpectedly, Lynette was drawn inside as well. "Child of the 9th night, this book carries my divine power. I have some words to say to my child of the future. Future, could this be the reason you were summoned to this world? We have always waited for you to appear and save the empire." The little cat was utterly shocked. This change is just too dramatic. Before, they said cats would be the downfall of the empire. And on top of that, you carry a curse that is the opposite of other cats. Your unique physical traits, they are the strongest proof that you are truly a child of the night. Next instruction. The little cat must find the original text of the divine guidance that was corrupted. Lynette is the cat of the god, capable of turning evil into righteousness. The mysterious figure blessed Lynette to quickly find the exact original divine guidance. After escaping from suffering, the other person begged Lynette, "If you see the child of our clan, please help that child see the future." As soon as those words were spoken, the little cat was returned to reality. When she opened her eyes, she saw Kyo Lion's worried gaze. "I am so worried because you won't wake up." The little cat assured her that she was fine. It turned out Kyo Lion had lost consciousness along with the little cat. He shared what he had heard with everyone. The mage and his son seemed to understand something. The only one who could have recorded the source in the book was a high priest. At this point, they guessed it could only be one person. The divine guidance was destroyed after 1 week of being given, and the priest who sacrificed his life to protect the divine guidance was Neros. He was the one who left the source for Lynette. That is why the crown prince decided, no matter what, they must find the priest's descendant. Very quickly, with Baron Prince's help, they found news about that person. They set off immediately, but the little cat was not happy at all, because for her safety outside, the crown prince had her disguise as a rabbit. The little cat's fur was smoothed down, but the prince still acted calm, as if nothing was wrong. It is extremely dangerous outside for a cat. Of course, some preparation is necessary. At first glance, she looked just like a cute little bunny. The little cat felt utterly embarrassed for the whole cat family. Why does the one who suffers always have to be a cat like me? Seeing her ridiculous appearance, the prince could not hold back his laughter. Even looking out the window, a smile crept onto his lips. She really is amusing. The prince's group quickly found the residence of the priest's descendant, and just in time, they saw him being beaten up badly. Get lost, beggar. The prince suspected they had the wrong person. Unsure, he asked the purple-haired one. The purple-haired one answered firmly, "No mistake, your highness. He is the last remaining descendant of the priest." Then the blonde spoke up. "I followed your orders, so why have not you paid me?" His disheveled appearance only made the other man angrier. That man was about to beat the blonde again, but the imagined blow never came. Someone appeared just in time to save him. The other man aggressively controlled the rude one. Without anger, he spoke calmly. "If your partner can beat people, I will give you 100, surely enough to break both your arms. His words scared the rude man senseless. Finally, Lion warned him sternly, if you dare hit anyone again, I will beat you until you have no teeth left to chew. The scene changed instantly. The blonde looked like a hungry tiger seeing bread. He had not eaten in ages. The prince reminded him, eat slowly. Thank you. The blonde panicked hearing that. Who is the flower stand here? Call me Jack. At this moment, the little cat climbed up, stretching her hands out like rabbit ears to scout the situation. Jack realized the other side would not just randomly come to his rescue, nor would they kindly invite him to a meal. They definitely needed something from him. Jack spoke frankly. Just tell me what you want. Yoli ate without replying, looking toward the purple-haired one. Receiving the signal, the purple-haired person spoke up. Do you know about the child who changes between day and night? Jack paused for a moment. He quickly grasped the deeper meaning behind the question. They were talking about the mischievous kid who sneaks out at midnight, just like me. After he said that, everyone was speechless. Then they asked him a few more questions, but it was all like talking past each other. Only then did they realize this guy knew nothing at all. Kioli, annoyed, listened to his rambling. She stood up, ready to leave. Before leaving, she instructed the magic sorcerer to erase his memories, then gave him enough living expenses. They considered the dignity of their grand priest sacrificed for the empire. Unexpectedly, he refused to take the money. He said he would not accept unearned benefits. The little cat was surprised that the priest's descendant had not inherited any talent from his ancestor, not even a single clue. But if the priest had already foreseen his own downfall, then surely their family was hiding some secret. What kind of ceremony? The little cat suddenly thought of a way to solve the problem. She quickly jumped out of Kioli's coat pocket and hurried back to GAC. GAC gazed in shock at the sudden appearance of the creature. It had rabbit paws but the body of a cat. He went pale with fear. Rabbit? No, cat. Before GAC could even recover, the little cat lunged forward, opened her mouth and bit him. A bite mark immediately appeared on GAC's face. Stared in disbelief at the girl sitting on him. The little cat only bit this man once, then suddenly transformed into a white-haired girl. What just happened? GAC stared, dumbfounded. Clearly, he could not believe such a bizarre scene. Can cats really turn into people? At this moment, the little cat was a bit flustered. She also took the chance to look at the man she had just put down. Suddenly, a large arm grabbed her, then warned her not to get too close to him. Outside, the crown prince was very calm, but inside, he was burning with jealousy. The crown prince smiled beneath his cloak. His gaze landed on Lynette's exposed shoulder. He could not let that brat get the upper hand. Meanwhile, GAC was still stunned by the cat's transformation into a person. Why are you all so calm? The purple-haired one hurriedly stopped him with a sharp word. And the sorcerer did not understand how Lynette discovered the secret of the priest's descendant transforming into a person. It turned out Lynette suddenly remembered. The only thing unchanged after all this time was the human form. Hearing that, everyone understood. It turned out the priest had left a mark on the bloodline of the descendant. If someone transformed into a person because of him, GAC happily spoke up. For a deal like that, you will have to pay me a lot of money. Lynette and Kulian were speechless. They did not expect this guy to be so shameless. This was the first time Lynette had been clear-headed while in human form. At that moment, Kulian eagerly asked her, why did you only bite him on the face? Lynette heard that and quickly looked away. The girl at that time only saw Jack's face. She discovered the kitten was speaking to her politely. The crown prince felt unhappy. After all, there is always a distance between people of different statuses. His Highness is a noble crown prince, and I am just... Before Lynette could finish her sentence, she was abruptly interrupted by a deafening noise. Something was happening outside the furnace. Lynette hurriedly stood up, wanting to go see what was going on. Her feet had just touched the ground when someone suddenly grabbed her. The two locked eyes. Lynette spoke firmly, let me go right now. But Kulian not only did not release her, he held on even tighter. He softly reminded Lynette not to move. Don't forget you are not wearing shoes. At that moment, Purple Hair Tear suddenly rushed over. Your Highness, save me, Little Patch said. Isn't that just a bitter guinea pig? Look, you are so scared you almost split your pants. But Purple Hair's biggest fear was mice. Living with those filthy creatures, Purple Hair would rather sleep with pigs. He was despised by Purple Hair. Little Patch mocked him, saying, you are supposed to be a big man, yet you are scared of mice. Don't go pigsty diving anymore. Go to the rat nest instead. No sooner had he finished speaking, a swarm of rats came running from the room toward Purple Hair. They scared him so badly he foamed at the mouth and fainted. The rats even tried to perform artificial respiration on him. The kitten was also frightened by the scene. Unexpectedly, the rats acted together under command. If I am not mistaken, Sanua has the ability to control animals. Lynette suggested the crown prince take him back with them, because he has a special power. Kulian also noticed this. Lynette explained it to Sanua. His family has cultivated many excellent priests for generations. A great family devoted to the empire. Sanua quickly denied it. That is not something I did. Lynette persisted in persuading him. Who knows, maybe your power is even stronger than theirs. Don't you want to know how strong your power really is? Just agree to help me. Under Lynette's gentle but firm persuasion, Sanua was initially resistant but gradually convinced. Yet he firmly said, if I am not as powerful as you claim, then do not bring me along. Seeing his agreement, Lynette excitedly grabbed his hand. Unexpectedly, something no one predicted then happened. Lynette felt like the world was spinning. She wondered why Sanua's face suddenly looked so big. She saw a kitten swaying in his hands. Clearly, an ordinary person blinked and turned into a kitten. The poor kitten looked toward the crown prince. The crown prince was puzzled why the kitten's transformation into a human was so brief. Like this, the purple-haired mage guessed that perhaps Sanua's divine power had been depleted. They decided to wait for him to recover his power before observing further. To make things easier, the crown prince arranged for him to stay at the palace for a while. After assigning everything, Qiulian announced he would return to the royal palace. Meanwhile, the mother cat anxiously waited for her kitten to come back. It was difficult, but she finally saw the crown prince's carriage. Unexpectedly, a maid suddenly led Qiulian to the guest room where Lady Gisela was looking for him. As soon as he returned to the crown prince's room, the kitten lay down, exhausted. At that time, Qiulian was busy handling official business. Anhui pet the kitten a little, then said he would quickly come back after finishing his work. Kitten, rest for now. Just then, the mother cat hurried in, saying there was urgent news to report. Gisela wanted to recruit her as a spy to monitor the crown prince's every move. This situation left the crown prince feeling utterly exhausted. In the palace, surrounded by conspiracies on all sides, there was no one he could trust. But thankfully, the little cat was still by his side. However, after the crown prince finished his duties and returned to his room, the little cat was nowhere to be seen. A wave of unease welled up inside him. At that moment, a soft meow sounded by his ear. The little cat obediently wrapped itself around the crown prince's leg. Seeing the little cat safe and sound, his tense heart finally relaxed. It turned out the little cat was highly alert and hid as soon as someone entered the room. When it saw it was Qiulian, it came running back out. The crown prince gently reached out and lifted the little cat up. Lian, let us go out for a walk. The pair happily strolled through the flower garden. Under the moonlight, the entire garden shimmered beautifully. The little cat loved this peaceful scene. Qiulian sat down on a clean stone slab. He handed the little cat a letter. It was a farewell letter from the cat's mother. Qiulian told the little cat that her mother had gone to the count's mansion. Because she did not have time to say goodbye to Lian in person, she asked the crown prince to deliver this letter to her instead. The person she trusted most was the little cat. The little cat looked at his sorrowful expression. She guessed he was sharing her feelings about his own mother, who had also left him a letter before departing. The little cat gently reached out and patted the crown prince to comfort him. This comforting gesture warmed the prince's heart deeply. You always reassure me. Since the day you came by my side, I have not had a single nightmare. Maybe you really do have some special power. Hearing those strange words, the little cat was completely stunned. I did not expect you to be so amazing. Seeing the little cat's disbelief, it was almost as if she was implying the crown prince was making things up. The prince fell silent. To prove he was telling the truth, the crown prince suddenly opened his shirt in front of the little cat. The 8-pack abs were immediately visible under the moonlight. The little cat hurriedly covered her eyes. The crown prince spread his arms wide. Lian, open your eyes and take a good look. Lian frowned, thinking this bad guy was trying to tease her again. But the little cat could not help herself. Sneaking a peek, she only saw smooth, defined 8-pack abs shining under the moonlight. Not a single scar in sight. Seeing this, the crown prince laughed, teasing the flirtatious cat. You do not have to stare at me like that. These strange things have only been happening since I have been sleeping next to you. No, actually, it started after I met you. The little cat found this all very strange. She clearly did not have any special powers. The crown prince explained, this is just my guess. Even if you do not have any abilities, you are still the most special existence to me. The little cat was deeply moved by his words. Even if she was just an ordinary person, to Qiulian, she was still the most special of all.